1945. Norman, can people hear me above the fan? Yeah. Norman Cousins, the editor of the Santa Review, began writing one of the most influential newspaper editorials of the 20th century. Modern man is obsolete. When the news broke about the bombing of Hiroshima, he afterwards explained, it seems to me that man overnight had come face to face with the problem of human destiny. Cousins' starting point was that the science of warfare has reached the point where it threatens the planet itself. Mankind needed to raise its level accordingly and go from national man to world man. At present he is a world warrior. It is time for him to grow up and become a world citizen. This picture, which illustrates my point perfectly, is the one I've been looking for. It's in the December issue of the British Journal of History of Science, the nuclear issue that Jonathan heard. Cousins' essay was published in a book that enjoyed huge sales, has been called a central cultural document of the immediate post-Hiroshima moment. The blinding flash of inspiration was followed by a blast wave of comments spreading outwards from atomic scientists and statesmen to journalists and the general public. Oppenheimer, who compared the atomic bomb to death to the destroyer of worlds, wrote, "The peoples of this world must unite or they will perish." Niels Bohr wrote in the Times on the 11th of August, "Civilization is presented with a challenge more serious than ever before, and the fate of humanity will depend on its ability to unite in averting common dangers." An editorial endorsed Bohr's views. Another war will mean the destruction of all organised life. It must be made impossible for war to begin, or else mankind perishes. Unusually, big picture philosophy found its way to high-level advice to the President, where it seems to have influenced policy at equal time. Secretary for War Henry Stimson wrote to Truman in September, "The bomb constitutes merely a first step in a new control by man over forces of nature too revolutionary and dangerous to fit the old concepts. Caps the climax of the race between man's growing technical power for destructiveness and his moral power." Secretary of State Aitchison advised the President the atomic bomb was a discovery more revolutionary than the wheel. Vannevar Bush, the presidential science advisor, wrote, "Down one path lies a secret arms race, down the other international collaboration and possibly ultimate control." Truman endorsed plans for international control of atomic energy, explaining to Congress that atomic war would mean the end of civilization as we know it. The British Prime Minister Clement Attlee agreed that the West was faced with a naked choice between world cooperation and world destruction, and issued a joint statement with Truman to that effect. The RAF's official observer of the Nagasaki bombing told an audience here in Manchester that in the atomic age which faced the choice between survival and extinction. Letters from American women suggest that such ideas are quickly absorbed by the public. I wonder what it will mean in the future, destruction or peaceful pursuits. Such examples can be multiplied almost endlessly. The work of Lawrence Whitmer, Spencer Weir and Paul Boyer shows. The metaphor of mankind at the crossroads ran the course from revelation to cliche in record time. The universalising language of the day had the whole of mankind standing at the crossroads, faced with an historic dilemma in the classic Greek sense of a once and for all fork-in-the-road decision between two incompatible alternatives: war or peace, nation or species, extinction or progress. In the United States, one phrase was endlessly recycled: one world or none. It was coined by Raymond Fosdick and popularised as the title of a warning collection of essays by a number of the atomic scientists. Among the authors, Philip Morrison, Harlow Shapley, atomic scientists and friends, Eugene Wigner, Oppenheimer, Bethel, Urey, Szilard, Albert Einstein, and the outgoing head of the Air Force, Hap Arnold. The collective editorial was called "Survival is at Stake." The problem has brought us to one of the great crises of history. The nations can have atomic energy and much more, but they cannot have it in a world where war may come. Common possession of atomic energy and the prevention of war will lead us to the end of war itself. That is the sealed solution. The keynote in the volume was Rupert Bohr's timepiece, which held up the Manhattan Project as a model. The world community of physicists was welded into a single team. The issue now centres on worldwide cooperation. Einstein led the argument that the United States should make decisive use of its temporary nuclear monopoly to give practical form to reinforce the United Nations. The secret of the bomb should be committed to a world government planned by the United States, the Soviet Union and Great Britain. The authors of One World or None, the Atomic Crossroads, was also a cultural one, providing an opportunity for scientists themselves to act as a model for a global community in service of humanity. The short-lived Aitchison-Lilienthal plan to hand atomic power over to an international agency held out the possibility that the bomb would become the UN's peacekeeping force, soon to be followed by a global peace dividend in the form of peaceful development of atomic energy under UN auspices. Well, there's nothing fundamentally new about either this sense of mankind at the crossroads. or about making the connection between this and the atomic bomb. The conviction that the next world war would be the last and that only international governments would prevent it have been behind the League of Nations and later behind the World Government Movement in the 1930s. In 1920, Eddington had wondered whether atomic energy would be for the well-being of the human race or for its suicide. H.G. Wells had not the world set free considered the prospect of atomic war and offered world government influenced by scientists as the alternative. And even though the Black Flag, pretty much the same scenario as well. The alternative being Fred Boyle. The almost simultaneous coming of the atomic bomb in the United Nations in 1945 seemed like threat, opportunity and urgency at the same moment. What I'd like to do is briefly look at the paradoxical effects of the atomic bomb in generating new varieties of techno-utopians in 4 areas. Atomic cornucopia, human evolution, very briefly, space travel, and extraterrestrial intelligence. One World or Not was followed in 1948 by a British collection of essays edited by John Cockcroft, The Atomic Challenge, which the thought leading away from the crossroad was already more prominent than the atomic one. Bertrand Russell in this collection proclaimed, if mankind can be brought while there is yet time to realise that the most elementary motive of self-preservation demand this revolutionary change as regards national sovereignty, a new era of unprecedented happiness and prosperity will result. Given a stable world government, it will be easy to abolish poverty everywhere. The pessimism of our gloomy era will vanish like snow in the sunshine of spring, and under the inspiration of returning joy, a great renaissance will spread throughout the world. The human race has to choose between utter disaster and unexampled well-being. No middle course is any longer possible. And it was illustrated by pictures of this kind of atomic dawn. What you can see on the left is nuclear bombs cracking the ice in the Arctic, followed by a kind of nuclear sunrise over a new civilization somewhere near the poles. In the late 1940s, as the half-solution of the indefinite atomic standoff allowed anxieties to subside, some scientists, and perhaps more politicians, conjured up a vision of a techno-atomic utopia of atomic energy, atomic cars, planes and medicine, several years before Eisenhower's Athens for Peace initiative promised, under American hegemony, to make such visions into reality. Freud, we move on to human evolution, had earlier in the century posed the question of how subhuman nature threatened being antiposed with superhuman technology. In the late 1940s, Einstein was widely quoted, the atomic bomb has changed everything except the nature of man. And one of Norman Cousins' themes was that man's technological development had outweighed his primitive psychological and social development, so that the race to prevent atomic war was also a race to improve mankind. Wells famously characterized human history as a race between education and catastrophe. The notion spread that civilization was now in its technological adolescence, and it was a case of grow up or blow up. Gregory Bateson, the anthropologist and systems theorist, wrote in 1946, we have not enough basic knowledge of the mechanics of individual aspiration. And large-scale political interrelationships, the planned steps which must be taken to adjust human societies to the availability of atomic weapons. It is possible that a small number of carefully selected men with experience in the modern handling of social science problems might, after intensive training, make outstanding contributions in the field of social science. To meet the challenge, Bateson proposed a social science equivalent to the Manhattan Project, an early version of the 1945 Bill for a National Science Foundation, put forward by Senator Hartley Kilgore, included the social sciences, in the belief that the destructive power of science was dangerously outrunning understanding of human society, and that a science of humanity was urgently needed. The coming of the atomic bomb was followed by a surge of interest in long-range views of human history, when Toynbee's study of history had phenomenal sales in his American tour in 1947, and also well-publicised advances in the study of early man. And you can see here the caption, and the atomic bomb is looking over the shoulder of somebody reading about new discoveries of early man, and the caption that is, want to know how it ends. These big perspectives were encouraged in 1950. The rise of the new physical anthropology at Chicago, perhaps not coincidentally, the home of atomic science in the late 40s and early 50s, was partly inspired by the concern that Sherwood Washburn put it that man meets the problem of the atomic age with the biology of hunter-gatherers. There was an urgent need to understand the origins and nature of the first nuclear-armed primate. Had technology outpaced human evolution? Could science save man from the consequences? The 8-man spaceman thing has become one of the cultural undercurrents of the space age, surfacing in Kubrick's film 2001 and its contemporary Planet of the Apes, which is predicated on the belief that there's been an atomic war way back and that our less dangerous primate cousins have evolved to succeed us. And I came across recently on the web this cartoon from actually February 1946 by Will Eisner in the Spirit series, where what you see, the star in the distance, is an explosion of some planet that's blown itself up. And on this nearby planet there's some cavemen, you know, and somebody saying, "Well, can you see that star? What was that?" And somebody saying, "Don't bother, he's just invented fire." He's trying to work out whether he should sort of share it with all the other tribes or keep the secret for himself until he can impose a lasting peace. Okay, this brings us to space travel then. Arthur C. Clarke in 1946 gave a seminal lecture to the British Interplanetary Society called The Challenge of the Spaceship. 50 years from now, he argued, instead of preparing for the conquest of the outer planets, our grandchildren may be dispossessed savages clinging to fertile oases in a radioactive wilderness. Yet we must keep the problems of today in their true proportions. The crossing of space, even the sense of its imminent achievement in the years before it, may do much to turn men's minds outward and away from the present tribal squabbles. In this sense, the rocket, far from being one of the destroyers of civilization, may provide the safety valve that is needed to preserve. Clarke's ideas came to be widely shared. Carl Sagan, echoing Kennedy's "we will go to the moon" speech, predicted that the modern rocket will prove to be either the means of mass annihilation through a global thermonuclear war, or the means that will carry us to the planets and the stars. Seth Shostak at the SETI Institute has characterised the post-war situation as an instance of a cosmic bottleneck in the life of all intelligent species, the period during which a civilization has a dangerous weapon that is confined to a small chunk of real estate. And Soviet writers put forward pretty much the same argument. The space or bust scenario was implicitly recognised in the partial test ban treaty which followed the Cuban Missile Crisis. Early in the space age, there had been serious talk of stationing nuclear missiles in orbit or on the moon. The scope of the test ban treaty extended beyond the atmosphere, banning nuclear explosions and weapons of mass destruction anywhere in space. The space-based version of the atomic crossroads, in which the twin futures of nuclear war and the colonisation of space were mutually exclusive, was now given legislative effect. Then, the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 declared astronauts to be the envoys of mankind, a wording followed on the flat laid on the Sea of Tranquility by Apollo 11, became peace for all mankind. Astrofuturist thought placed a lot of weight on the achievement of space travel. A newspaper editorial soon after the first flight to the moon by Apollo 8 read, "Soon we will be able to promise that if we can hold off the danger of nuclear war for another generation, the species itself will not be threatened, but will already have found safe haven elsewhere." Finally then, extraterrestrial intelligence. The atomic crossroads assumption helps to account for the emergence of the scientific belief in extraterrestrial intelligence, I believe, at least in its 1960s and 70s version. The UFO craze of 1947 onwards was underpinned, at least once it got going, by the belief that it couldn't possibly be aliens who'd seen our first atomic bomb explosion and were sending agents to either advise or warn or prevent humans from further developing the atomic bomb, or possibly to share with us the secrets of peace and long life. I thought the Daily Earth should still, for those who knows it. There is a cartoon from the British Daily Express from 1954, whereas the moon inhabitants are happily informed by envoys that the people on Earth are busy blowing themselves up and unlikely to come to the moon and give them any trouble here. The Drake equation of 1961 was touted as a way of calculating the likelihood that there should be other intelligent communicating civilizations in our galaxy. It was a long shopping list of necessary assumptions. I won't bore you with the 6 of them. Basically, we generally agree they all cancel each other out to pretty much one. The assumption that really mattered was the one at the bottom, the lifetime of communicating civilizations. Basically, the number of civilizations is 1 times however many years they last. Civilizations were thought likely at the first bring back comfort and extraterrestrial intelligence to blow themselves up. And this was a problem for those who sought to find them. Philip Morrison had both armed the bomb for the Trinity test and co-wrote the seminal paper in Nature in 1979 on the detection of extraterrestrial intelligence. So he and the group were in a position to put these two things together. There was a worry that if civilizations lasted only a few thousand years, we'd never encounter another one anywhere in the galaxy. Then Drake's research assistant Sebastian von Herner came up, figured out that if just 1% of alien civilizations had a lifetime of 1 billion years, having got over the atomic crossroad, then the value of L would make an enormous leap from 10,000 to 10 million. This huge value was then averaged out over the entire galaxy to give an average distance and length of civilizations. And it was decided it could be 1 million or maybe 100 million communicating civilizations, maybe between only a few light years away. The other implication was that most civilizations we would detect would be very old and advanced. Mankind was the youngest civilization in the galaxy. Others we met would, by a cosmic law of natural selection, be peaceful and therefore benign, outward-facing, customer service orientated. And Carl Sagan now expresses the classic view that when we meet aliens, they will be able to teach us a great deal, help us avoid the atomic crossroads, and go on to, well, pretty much eternal life. Finally then, back to the Atom Train exhibition of 19. That isn't Carl Sagan, but that's what he would look like in the space station to discover the model on the moon. The idea of the atomic crossroads, a Manichaean choice between progress and extinction, was a cultural watermark of the early Cold War. Like a watermark, it was easily recognised, long-lived, and taken for granted. Scientific educators subconsciously sought to channel fear over bomb and to hope for salvation by technology. As hope for nuclear disarmament failed, emphasis shifted to more hopeful path out of the atomic crossroads. This quest had quite widespread and surprising effects in other areas of philosophy, science, and technology. Not merely behind, but hand in hand with the high vision of progress that marked the post-war decades, walked the cultural shadow of the atomic bomb.
Okay, thank you very much. So next up is Gregory Corley, raised study for his